Good morning, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for the second video blog this morning for Sunday, April 12th, 2015, around 6:39 in the morning, Billerica, Massachusetts. This video blog is about my predictions for the 2015 Stanley Cup playoffs. The playoffs will start Wednesday, April 15th, Tax Day, and it's going to be shown in Canada on Roger Sportsnet and the CBC, and in the United States every game will be shown on NBCSN and USA Network, CNBC, NHL Network, and NBC Sports. It's all the games. And here's the 8 playoff series in the Eastern Conference. It's the Montreal Canadiens facing off against the Ottawa Senators, the Detroit Red Wings against the Tampa Bay Lightning, the New York Rangers against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and the Washington Capitals against the New York Islanders. In the Western Conference, these are the playoff matchups: the St. Louis Blues against the Minnesota Wild, the Nashville Predators against the Chicago Blackhawks, the Anaheim Ducks against the Winnipeg Jets, and the Vancouver Canucks against the Calgary Flames. And here are my predictions what's going to happen in the 2015 Stanley Cup playoffs in the NHL. The first round series, here's the ones I'm predicting in the Eastern Conference. The first matchup is the Canadiens against the Senators. And this is going to probably be a good series in my opinion. Carey Price has been playing outstanding this year in net for the Canadiens. He's probably going to win the Hart Trophy and the Vezina Trophy, but the Canadiens do not score goals. And the Ottawa Senators have been playing so hot the past 2 months, especially the goaltender Andrew Hammond's nicknamed the McBurglar. And so I'm picking the Senators to upset the Canadiens in 6 games to advance. The next matchup is the Detroit Red Wings, 24 straight years making the Stanley Cup playoffs, against the Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm predicting this series is going to be a good series. The Red Wings have issues in the goaltender, in goal net, and the Lightning have been playing so good this year, and especially Ben Bishop, and they have a lot of offensive power, like Steven Stamkos and Ryan Callahan and a few others. So I'm picking the Lightning to advance, beating the Red Wings in about maybe 5 games. The next series is the New York Rangers against the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Rangers have the number 1 seed in the playoffs because they won the President's Trophy, and the Rangers have had the best team in the NHL this year. Pittsburgh Penguins, on the other hand, fumbled down the stretch. They just needed to beat Buffalo last night to qualify for the playoffs, but Buffalo's the worst team in the NHL, and the Penguins have firepower with Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin and goaltender Marc-Andre Fleury, but they've been struggling, and I think the Rangers are going to sweep the Penguins out of playoffs 4 straight games. And the final series in the Eastern Conference is the Washington Capitals against the New York Islanders. The Islanders have been a great story this year, and a great story to close out the arena in Nassau Coliseum. They've been a great story. John Tavares has had an outstanding season, and Alex Hasek in net has a great season, and the Washington Capitals have had a great season, a bounce-back season. And I think the Capitals will beat the New York Islanders in 7 games. In the Western Conference, this is how it's going to shape out in the first round. First series is the St. Louis Blues against the Minnesota Wild, and this is going to probably be the most entertaining series of the first round. Both teams are pretty good. A little bit of a goaltender issue in the St. Louis Blues, but they still have a complete team. The Minnesota Wild has a complete team in this year as well. This series is going to go 7 games, but I think at the end the St. Louis Blues are going to beat the Minnesota Wild. The next series is the Chicago Blackhawks against the Nashville Predators. The Predators has had a bounce back season, after missing the playoffs 2 straight years. They got a new coach, Peter Laviolette. He's probably going to be one of the top candidates for Coach of the Year. Pekka Rinne's been playing great. Shea Weber. They have a great defensive core. Chicago Blackhawks have a lot of offensive firepower, but like since the beginning of the year, they've been like kind of pedestrian with their record and stuff like that. They stepped it up towards the end of the season because they were in danger of falling into a wild card position. And Corey Crawford has been playing good goaltender, not spectacular, but good. I see this going 7 games, but I still think somehow the Blackhawks will manage to win this series. The next series is the number 1 seed out west, the Anaheim Ducks, facing off against the Winnipeg Jets. The Jets have been probably the best story in the NHL this year. This is the first time they made the playoffs since moving from Atlanta to Winnipeg in 2011. And even though this has been a great story for the Jets, and the Ducks have some issues in goaltending, but I still think the Ducks probably will win the series in 5 games over the Jets. Jets have no playoff experience. And it's a great story, but it's going to have to come to an end. And the last series is the Vancouver Canucks against the Calgary Flames. Both teams missed the playoffs last year. This year, both of them are in. The Canucks have played exceptionally well, even though their goaltender, Ryan Miller, got hurt. And they had a bounce-back season. The Calgary Flames are another great story because a lot of people were saying they would probably barely miss the playoffs this year, but they had a great team, and Bob Hartley's probably going to be a top candidate for Coach of the Year. I see this series going 7 games, and I think the Flames are going to upset the Canucks. Now to the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. It will be would be the Ottawa Senators against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Will probably be a great series, but I think the Lightning will end the hamburgerless reign in about 6 games, and then it will be the Washington Capitals against the New York Rangers. I think the Rangers will beat the Capitals maybe in 7 games, and then in the Western Conference it will be the St. Louis Blues against the Chicago Blackhawks, and I think the Blackhawks and Blues will have a very, very entertaining series. But I think this year, finally, I think that St. Louis Blues will probably overcome their demons and beat the Blackhawks in about 6 games. And the other series in the second round will be the Anaheim Ducks against the Calgary Flames. And I think the Ducks will beat the Flames in about 5 games. And then the conference finals, these are the predictions. I'm predicting in the conference final, it will be the New York Rangers against Tampa Bay Lightning. I think that Tampa Bay Lightning will probably upset the Rangers in about 6 games. And then in the Western Conference, it's going to be the St. Louis Blues against the Anaheim Ducks. And I think the Anaheim Ducks will beat the St. Louis Blues in 7 games. And then the 2015 Stanley Cup Finals, my predictions. This is what I'm predicting. I'm picking the Anaheim Ducks to beat the Tampa Bay Lightning in about 5 games to win the Stanley Cup, and will be the second time the Ducks won the Stanley Cup in their history. Anything could happen in Stanley Cup playoffs, so these are predictions, but it could be easily the Rangers winning it all, or the Blackhawks, or even the Blues and stuff like that. There's a few serious candidates winning the Cup Finals this year now. In the playoffs, maybe the dark horse could be the Wild if they get hot, but I think St. Louis has a great team this year. And also in the East, probably the Senators, probably a dark horse, because he's Andrew Hammond is probably one of those goaltenders who could be real hot, and maybe somehow the Senators could go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Maybe Sage of 1971 Ken Dryden, but I don't know how far they'll go, but we'll wait and see, and it starts Wednesday. I'll be back later. Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. There are 2 more video blogs coming today. One will be about Portland wrestling, the regional territory for many years owned by Don Olin, and the last video blog, everybody's been waiting for this. It will be a video blog about Local 6 Orlando, Florida's weather and traffic reporter Julie Broughton and the personality profile. See you later. Bye.